Go take her tickets up there. Thanks.
Nice. Thanks, man. Cool.
Be a lot of activity in here, but we'll just.
My friend.
Let's see. Maybe what are they doing?
That's cool.
Right here. This is the introduction to the Predator Store. We won't be long. I mean, are they going to be in the lake here? Are you doing anything on this table?
Well, just sit away from it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to spill coffee on it or anything. Can sit here.
Sit over here.
Yep,
Switch around. Okay.
I just want to tell you a little bit about Iowa. There are 4 major ceremonies in the life of a warship. This is the first one for Iowa. That's key laying ceremony, June 27, 1940. Europe is at war, we're not. This is considered day 1 of construction. Ceremonial first rivet is going in by a bigwig admiral. Keel is a 4-foot tall I-beam. It's the backbone of the ship. This is 10 months after keel laying. See, they've been building keel up. The excellent Babcock and Wilcox boilers are in. These were designed for Iowa, as well as the double reduction gears and the turbines. All state of the art.
Cool.
Construction is with special treatment steel. That's nickel chromium steel alloy. Other naval powers use it, but to much less extent than our Navy. It's very expensive to make. Iowa has really good bones. What's your background? Are you engineering or?
Well, quality actually, but I was in the Navy.
Oh, you were?
So I was on a frigate, and then I was a combat stevedore with Carl Brandt and Battalion 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of this will be familiar to
Little
you.
bit. We just did the Midway last year. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, these produce 250,000 pounds of steam an hour each.
Wow.
So all 8 boilers will produce more steam than the turbines can handle. So it's a balancing act. It's a dance between steam supply and demand. So if you get that out of balance, you screw things up.
Right.
Yeah, we only have 9 ships in our Navy now that use boilers like Iowa.
Oh, wow.
Carriers.
Can I do the map thing?
Oh, yeah. I was going to do that. Go ahead.
Are you in the middle of something?
President's tour.
Oh, President's Tour. Okay.
Yep.
You know, we'll come back here in a few minutes. Let's go this way.
We'll be quick. December 7th, 1941. We're now at war. All of our shipyards now go 24/7. It was just a day job before. 665 private shipyards on top of 13 naval shipyards. We started with about 700 ships in the Navy.
Oh, wow.
When Pearl Harbor was bombed. We ended up with 7,000 by the end. That doesn't count the 2,000 built for the Army, Army transports, and about 6,000 for the merchant. So it's incredible what they could do.
Wow.
Impressive. What's up?
We're having a private event in here right now. I asked you to close off the tour.
Yes, VJ told me we could come here. This is President's Tour.
Okay.
Can we go over here?
If you could go to the lounge, that would be great. But yeah, this is a private event, and they'd asked to have this.
Okay, we weren't expecting you till 1.
Okay, yeah, I just let him.
Starts at 1, but we can sit up.
Sorry, gentlemen.
Sorry.
I'll have to tell them. Well, it's okay. It's okay. Well, I guess we're being kicked out. All our tours are up in
Sorry, folks. I
smoke.
need to be inhospitable.
I knew you were doing the event. I didn't.
I
Thank you.
Alright, so let's see where we can go with where it won't be disturbed. How are here? Yeah, let's go in here.
Sure. Just in your office or sticker.
Alright,
Cool.
so where were we? Alright, so Pearl Harbor is now done. This is the second ceremony of a warship. This is the launching ceremony, August 27, 1942. Iowa's now 39,000 tons, 80% complete.
So where was she launched at?
This is the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, there are about 72,000 workers at that one shipyard alone.
Wow.
6,000 of them are women. So,
Impressive.
are you from England or?
Originally, yeah.
Okay, so in England, same thing as us. Women are in your factory, in English factories, just like us. The Germans, they're so arrogant. Their factories are 9 to 5 and they close. England is 24/7. We're 24/7. That's how arrogant.
Oh, wow.
And it costs them, as you know. 6 months in a fitting out yard. So 2 years, 8 months, you've got a battleship. This is the third ceremony of a warship. This is the launching ceremony. That's February 22nd. Yeah, commissioning. February 22nd, 1943, mid-war. Captain McRae took command 1 week earlier. Here he's addressing his crew. He tells them he wants a smart ship, he wants a taut ship. It's all of that, but it was also considered a happy ship. In the U.S. military, 2/3 of the military are drafted, 1/3 volunteer. This is an all-volunteer crew.
Wow.
2,800 of them. This is Iowa's first mission. It's called Tirpitz Watch. If you remember, the English Navy sank Bismarck May 27, 1941. So we're worried about a repeat of that, of the Germans coming into the Atlantic, intercepting convoys going from Canada, United States to England, trying to knock England out of the war. So it would have been, if they had tried that, it would have been Tirpitz and Scharnhorst versus Iowa and New Jersey. And the thing, this is a fine battleship, don't get me wrong. It's a nice balance of armor, firepower, and speed. But it's no match for an Iowa-class battleship. Our fire control is far superior. We're 3 knots faster. We control the battle space. We can maneuver and shoot at the same time. All other navies in the world had to go in a straight line to hold a fire control solution. They can either maneuver or they can fire. They can't do both. We can do both. This is the one I am more afraid of. This is the Japanese super battleship Yamato. 1/3, again, as large as Iowa. It's a beast. 1,100 watertight compartments. Its main belt armor is 16-inch thick compared to our 12.1. 9-inch thick deck armor. 26-inch front plate, sloped 45 degrees on their turrets. We couldn't penetrate that at any range, even point blank. We could have met 3 times in World War II. Chances are we win, but no guarantee of it. Not at all. This is the Battle of Samar. Iowa and New Jersey and a few cruisers are racing down the Philippines to come to Taffy 3's defense. Do you know this battle at all?
No.
Okay. I'll show you a map. I'll explain it better. This is the Battle of Leyte Gulf. The Japanese plan is very complicated. Southern force is coming through Surigao Strait, and it met Olandor's 7th Fleet. The Japanese were annihilated, absolutely annihilated there. Central force is coming through the San Bruno Strait here, It's intercepted by Halsey's flyboys in the Sibuan Sea. They lose Masashi, sister ship to Yamato here, and they seem to be turning around and going back. So, okay, that's fine now. Ozawa and Northern Force are up here. This is a decoy. Admiral Ozawa is saying, I've got 4 carriers, come get me, come get me, come get me. And Halsey, as the fool he was, took the bait. He takes the entire 3rd Fleet up to engage Ozawa. They sink the 4 carriers, but by this time of the war, the Japanese don't have any pilots left. So it's an empty victory. But because he pulled the fleet up, Central Force did a U-turn, and now the invasion beaches of Leyte are left unguarded. Walter Kruger's 8th Army had just landed, and now there's nothing to prevent them from blowing everything up except for Taffy 3. It's a small task unit. 6 escort carriers, 3 destroyers, 4 destroyer escorts, going up against the bulk of the Japanese fleet, including 4 battleships. It's the biggest mismatch of World War II. So now Halsey realizes his mistake. He releases Iowa and New Jersey. They're racing down, but they're 3 hours too late. Taffy 3 held them off for 3 hours, and then Central Force called it quits. It should not have been that way.
Right.
This small little insignificant thing shouldn't have been able to do that, but it did. Anyway, we could have met Yamato. Anyway, going back, this is Gambier Bay, one of our escort carriers being destroyed by Yamato. Unfortunately, they couldn't get into the smoke screen fast enough. They were the tail of the task group, and they didn't have a chance. This is the 4th of the ceremonies. This is called decommissioning, March 1949. They're just saying goodbye to Iowa. It's going into the mothball fleet. At this point in history, most likely, we'll go to the breakers, because it's very expensive to operate to maintain a battleship. So it doesn't really have much of a future. But something happened that got in the way. Well, it was this. Oh, I don't have the... I was going to show you on the map. But in June 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea. And Allies get pushed. Do you know the Korean War much at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so our Allies get pushed down into Busan. MacArthur does his brilliant Incheon landing. North Koreans are thrown off balance. They go fleeing north as fast as they can. 8th Army on the west coast pursues them, going north into a Chinese ambush. 10th Corps under General Almond goes north on the east coast up to a Chinese ambush. On the east coast, the 10th Corps gets in trouble at the Chosin Reservoir. They retreat to the port city of Hongnam with a Chinese, I outnumber like 10 to 1. It's an army group. They're right on 10th Corps' heels. Well, off the coast of Hongnam, as remnants of 7th Fleet, we have 7 carriers, we have 2 heavy cruisers, about 8 destroyers, 3 missile boats, and Missouri, our sister ship. Well, unfortunately, weather grounds aircraft for several days. Now it's just naval gunfire support holding the line. The perimeter, defense perimeter, is the 7-mile radius around Hongnam. Every time the Chinese grouped, I have a picture. Every time the Chinese grouped, this would happen. North Carolina, sister ship Missouri. This is Iowa, but the sister ship Missouri would fire a 16-inch round, 162 rounds on the perimeter. That's making a hole 50 feet across, 20 feet deep, and blasting everything flat for 200 yards. Wow. 9 guns together will destroy everything with a square mile. So every time the Chinese grouped, this is what Missouri did to them. and they never seriously pressed the perimeter. General Almond evacuated 100,000 troops, 100,000 North Korean civilians fleeing in 9 days, called the Miracle of Christmas, and it was made possible because Sister Ship Missouri. The Navy said, my goodness, that ship's effective. So they brought all 3 Iowas, the other 3 Iowas back, including Iowa. So we had 1 tour of duty in the Korean War.
Wow.
But this, I'll show you, is our nemesis in the Cold War. This is the battle cruiser Kirov. Russian, nuclear powered, about the same speed as us. The difference is we're armored, they're not. We're 40% armor. So we exchange anti-ship missiles.
Oh.
It's like a kamikaze hitting us. When their missile hits, it's going to pancake against our armor belt. 1 harpoon will sink that. And you probably have been following the news, the Russian Navy is
Oh yeah, they're getting hammered.
yeah, they've been losing a lot of ships lately. But anyway, this is the nemesis, and this is one of them. But anyway, this is what it looks like.
Wow.
That's our sister ship New Jersey firing a salvo. It's a 3,000 degree fireball, 300 feet long. It's actually boiling water under it. So if you're anywhere near the gun, 50 pounds per square inch on you, I don't know which would kill you first. It's going to blow limbs off.
Yeah.
You're also going to get singed. So you'll go one way or the other or both.
Yeah.
50 feet away, the pressure is 7 pounds per square inch. If you saw the movie Under Siege, I think it was a Steve Seagal, one of those guys, get blown off their feet and go flying. Yeah, that was pretty accurate. That's what's going to happen.
Wow.
You don't see anyone on the deck. That's
Right.
stupid.
Right.
Yeah, that's was actually more loss of hearing from the 5-inch gun. That was a high-pitched crack. This one, 16-inch, this one you felt the shockwave going through. You made jello for that size. So let's go. Oh, well, that's the way it goes. I was going to show you a lithograph, because this is the President's Tour. I was going to show you one of Ronald and Nancy Reagan.
Oh, cool.
On the viewing platform of Turret 1. They were on board 4th of July, 1986. Roosevelt, of course, was on board. We took him in November 43 to meet Churchill, Stalin. And then we had George H.W. Bush in 84. He was vice president at the time. He recommissioned Iowa for the 3rd time at Pascagoula, Mississippi. And then in 2022, we had Joe Biden. And he addressed the Summit of the Americas on Iowa. And that was a strange day because we get emails a lot. They do a lot of filming here. It's NCIS twice, all kinds of things. And they say, okay, they're filming this, and we'll be shut these 2 or 3 days, and the program will air on CBS or whatever on this, so be sure to see Iowa. A lot of detail. Well, this time, we got this strange email, and it said, well, don't come these 2 days, and we're not sure the details yet, but if you come, we're going to take your badge away from you.
Oh, wow.
I went, okay, something's up. Go online, see when the Summit of America was, same day, and that's what it was.
Oh my gosh.
Security was really, really nervous, I guess. Or diligent, I don't know, one of the two. Let's go up to 01 now.
We already got the
We already got that, right.
safety tour.
That's right.
We had to hit the hat.
Good one.
Yes, yes. Thank
Was an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
The fail-safe point.
you.
Anyway, enjoy your tour.
Thank you. I'm up here on the
Well,
get the bad news out of the way. 19 years active service, 15 years reserve fleet. Now going on 12 years as a museum. And all that time, I only had one bad day, and this was it. April 19th, 1989. Iowa was part of a 30-ship exercise off of Puerto Rico. Routine. Captain Mussolini on the bridge wanted to impress Vice Admiral Jerome Johnson, so we ordered turret 2 to fire a salvo. All 3 guns together. Press the sight. Turret 1, turret 2 are rotated to starboard, guns elevated. 44 seconds after getting the order to load, the turret officer, Lieutenant Bush, reported right gun ready to fire. 18 seconds later, he reported left gun ready to fire. But right after that, the cradle operator on the middle gun, Richard Lawrence, shouted into his microphone, "I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready yet." Moments later, his gun blew up. Instead of a 3,000-degree fireball going out of the barrel, it went backward and down 2,000 feet per second.
Oh my gosh.
Back. Everybody in the turret was killed. On the 1MC, the crew heard unexplained detonation, turret 2. Drill quarters, fire on the ship. Damage control went into the magazines on the 4th and 5th deck. They saw the walls glowing red from the heat. Powder bags that had been taken out of the tanks were starting to smolder. 495 tons of propellant, 20 magazines. Ship was some risk. They didn't panic. They secured all doors and hatches, flooded 11 magazines, and turret 2 with 16,000 tons of seawater. That action saved her. They're not forgotten. Every April 19th, we have a memorial service on the bow. It's still well attended. Family, friends, crew, us, former school teachers. They're not forgotten. It's a reminder military is a dangerous profession. This is not but I always honor Rosie the Riveter when I walk by her. And this is the same thing in England. 16 million Americans fought in World War II, including 350,000 women, 4 million in the Navy. We created a huge labor shortage in our country, so our government asked women to join the labor force. By 1944, 19.4 million women did. We know there was Rosie the Riveter and Wendy the Welder. We know who this is. She's Naomi Parker. She was a machinist up in the Bay Area. I want to show you something.
Wow, cool. I didn't know that.
6,000 women shipbuilders at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. This is arc welding. That is the prettiest weld you'll ever see. Also called stick welding. Beautiful. My guess is a woman did that. She's from the patience of it.
Yeah,
It's not an easy job.
No, probably a man did that.
He's unprepared.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this would be like England to me. Plus, the water in Long Beach was Douglas aircraft. 100,000 workers, 70% women. They work 6 days a week, 3 shifts around the clock. Thousands of planes. Inglewood. Are you from the area? Do you know?
Yeah, we're from Seattle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you had Boeing.
Right.
Making the B-17.
Yeah.
Inglewood, where the new Rams Stadium is, with North American Aviation, 100,000 workers. We're just building P-51 Mustang fighters, P-25 Metro bombers. Over here in Burbank, if you want to go see Universal Studios. We have Lockheed, 100,000. We've been building the P-38 Lightning and the B-17 Lightning. Over here in Top Floor, and Alta, we've been building the P-61 Black Widow Nightfire. Shipyard, Wilmington, Consolidated Steel, across the water, Cal Ship, the Bethlehem Shipyard. Building ships for the Navy. And Seattle, same thing. We have Bremerton. And Mare Island, same thing. They were just cranking these things out like crazy. Let's go in. This is the captain's cabin. 20 captains in all. It takes about 20 years in the Navy. Oh, I'm sorry.
And the captain says, "Oh, that's just my dog." So
Let's go up, and then we're going to come back down.
So you're reading to change the dog's habits. Because they hear me. And the captain dog, they hear the dog.
Junior officers this way, 150 officers in all in World War II, down to 65 in the 80s.
Don, are you going up to CEC?
This is the galley that serviced the captain on this side, the admiral on this side. One cook, two stewards. One there, one there.
Are you going to CEC?
Oh, I was, but if you're done here, I'll start here. Oh, take your time. So, here's Reagan and Nancy. It was, they were on Iowa in the Hudson River, 4th of July, 1986. It was also International Naval Review. So as Iowa comes down the Hudson, there are foreign ships, 30 of them from around the world, on the side, and they would give the Reagans a 21-gun salute as they passed in their honor. At the end, they had a barbecue for the crew, their families that were on board. Hot dogs, ribs, also beer. Which, no beer on American warships since 1913, but that was a special thing. And then we had the biggest 4th of July celebration in New York up to that time. And then there was a French flyover team that went right over Iowa. The crew still talks about that day.
That's cool.
And some of them actually got to meet Ronald Reagan, a few. So it was pretty special. This is Joe Biden with some of the Americas. He gave an hour talk to a delegation. But we're here to talk about Roosevelt. He was in these quarters for 15 days.
Wow.
9 days, 8 days crossing the Atlantic, 1 the Mediterranean, and 6 days back. That's the big 3 there in the Soviet embassy. There's a reason Roosevelt is in the middle. It's because Stalin and Churchill don't like each other. Churchill already sees the Cold War at this point. He knows it's coming. Roosevelt never did. To Roosevelt, Stalin is just kindly Uncle Joe. Churchill got it right. Roosevelt did not. So anyway, this is where Roosevelt had a few of his meetings with the Joint Chiefs of Staff. These 4 are the Joint Chiefs. William Leahy is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. He's also Roosevelt's Chief of Staff, so he wears 2 hats. Before he became Joint Chief, he was the governor of Puerto Rico. And he did very well as an ambassador there, kind of smoothing things over. His diplomatic skills were needed because these 2 guys hate each other. George Marshall was probably the most important, numbered about 186,000. He built that army to 8.5 million. Brilliant organizer. We also remember him for the Marshall Plan. It was something like 13 to 16 billion, however you count it, to rebuild Europe. He won the Nobel Peace Prize for that. He was Secretary of the... Yeah, that's a different hat then. This guy's interesting. Ernest King. He's brilliant, but abusive to his subordinates. He's not only Chief of Naval Operations, he's also Commander-in-Chief U.S. Fleet. He runs the Navy. He is the Navy. They said what little charm he had, he saved for the wives of naval officers. This is my favorite guy here. This is Hap Arnold, junior to these guys. He ran the United States Army Air Force. He commanded the largest Air Force the world will ever see. He was a second student of the Wright brothers, set many altitude records in his day, but this is why I like him. He was very supportive of women in the military, and that wasn't common. These are the WASPs. Women Air Force service pilots, about 1,100 strong, formed by Jackie Cochran, who was a very famous aviator in her day. These women flew over 60 million miles. They flew every plane that our factories built, from the factories to air bases, transferred to men who would then fight in the Pacific and the Atlantic theaters. Admiral tried to get them incorporated into the Army Air Force. Had he been succeeded, greater pay, medical, dental, GI Bill, which meant 4 years college, greater status, but he was blocked by Congress. So they never did get the recognition they deserve, or the pay, or the status. Harry Hopkins, president of Pfizer, also best friends with Roosevelt. If you made a deal with Harry Hopkins, you just made a deal with Roosevelt. That's how much Roosevelt trusted him. Roosevelt was the best president of the 20th century, great wartime president, but he didn't live to see the end of World War II. He died April 12, 1945. Then Vice President Truman became president. No one in the country knew who Truman was. The country was in shock. If you were a sailor on Iowa, let's say you were 18, you never knew, you couldn't remember a president other than Roosevelt. It's just inconceivable that he didn't finish the war to them. Before dinner would be cocktail hour that he called Children's Hour. I want to do a Longfellow poem. Father takes care of his children, so to speak. He's no longer commander-in-chief. He's mixologist-in-chief. He makes the martinis. This is about 5 o'clock for dinner, a couple hours. No talk of war or depression or politics. That's all social. This is his favorite time of day. It's going to be gossip, sea stories, jokes. I have one anecdote for you. It's kind of funny, and it may even be true. I don't know. But the story in Washington at the time was Eleanor Roosevelt went into Children's Hour, and she didn't approve of it because her father died of alcoholism. She does not like alcohol. So anyway, as the story goes, she wanted Roosevelt to sign something for one of her committees, which you never do during Children's Hour. And he got exasperated and said, "Did you talk about your big fat ass at your meeting?" She thought and answered, "No, her name didn't come up even once." I don't know if that's true, but that does explain the relationship between the two. But this is why I like her so much. Some hated her, some loved her. No in between, I don't think. But in 1943, she told the White House she was going to go to the South Pacific on tour. And no one there liked the idea. Halsey didn't like the idea, thought she was seeking publicity or something. But when she went to the military hospitals, she talked to every soldier, every sailor in the hospital. And she offered to write letters for the ones who couldn't write letters. And they took her up on it. She wrote probably thousands of letters. She kept her promise. And when Halsey saw that, he was a big fan. He changed his mind. She belonged there. And then after Roosevelt died, Truman is now fulfilling Roosevelt's dream with the new United Nations. This would have been September, October 45, somewhere in there. And Eleanor was chosen as one of our delegates by Truman. She wasn't accepted at the United Nations. It was a good old boys club. And they thought she was there because of her political connections. Anyway, she was the chairman of the Human Rights Committee. And this is her work, the Declaration, called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This is the jewel in the crown of the United Nations Charter. It's mostly her. And after she wrote this, she was highly respected by her peers. She proved them wrong. That's why I like her. Anyway, after dinner would be movies in here. Every night was movie night. President of the Joint Chiefs, first was Phantom of the Opera. Second was Princess O'Rourke, delightful World War II propaganda movie. Worth seeing. Anyway, let's go take a look at the map. He got polio at age 39, so he was confined to a wheelchair. When he stood, he needed someone to kind of prop him up, and he had these very painful leg braces, but he wanted to be photographed standing up at a podium, even though he's in deep pain. The press at the time was so respectful, they never photographed him in his wheelchair. That would not be true anymore, I don't think. They cut the doors down so Roosevelt's wheelchair would go through.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's
Go through
nice.
here.
I like that.
This is where he slept. The captain has us at sea cabin. At sea, captain wouldn't be here anyway. He's by the wheelhouse. This is Roosevelt's bathtub put in at Hampton Roads. This was a funny story. Captain McCrae was concerned that if the sailors saw the bathtub come aboard, they would guess that Roosevelt was coming on board, and it's a super secret mission. So he ordered his executive officer spread the rumor that the captain's gone soft. He wants a bathtub, and they actually bought the story until they saw Roosevelt wheel aboard. Then they knew, oh, that's why we have a bathtub. So there's examples or reminders you're in a warship. This is probably 40 millimeter hoist, armored hoist, going up from below. Third deck is where the magazines would be. Upper ammunition handling room for Mount 51 is here. On the other side of this wall over here would be about 55 projectiles. So kind of close to that. But if you go to general quarters, he's not here anyway. He's way up on the floor. So yeah, go in and take a look. See communication on the wall. Wherever you have the captain, you're going to have communication, even in the head. There are only 3 private heads on Iowa. Captain here, XO, and Admiral. But pretty much everyone else, they share.
Oh, that's neat.
It's cool. They kind of like made that
Yeah, it's
sort of
great.
tub for him.
So, we'll come back here. I forgot anything. Oh, one thing. Paint shop did a good job. It's metal. Why metal? Not wood. Any idea?
The rot?
Wood burns.
Burns.
If you're in Bell, you don't want smoke. Yeah, you don't want smoke getting in the way of
The
your
donuts
dinner.
are metal.
So it's really the only wood you're going to find on Iowa. Piano, they kept that. Some ships threw their pianos overboard. We didn't. But it's a wood deck. 54,000 square feet. It will cost us $15 million to replace it. Labor materials. We're doing it slowly. Or the guy that's doing it, Stan, we call him the woodsman. He hurt his ankle, so he was out of action for a while, but I saw him just recently, so he's now back doing our necks.
Cool.
Not the longest passageway in Iowa. That's junior officer. Oh, we talked about that earlier. Oh, we got to this point. I was going to tell you a story about Roosevelt's cooks. When Roosevelt went on ships, he was at his happiest because he's away from the pressures of the White House. I was told I shouldn't say this, but it was also away from the old ball and chain. He's in his element because he was assistant secretary from 1913 to 1920. It actually got him into trouble sometimes. At his meetings, he always referred to the Navy as we, because he's a sailor in his mind. His mind's eye, and the army is them. So at one of the meetings, Marshall got exasperated and said, "Please, Mr. President, we're all in the war together. Can we just be we?" He never remembered. So anyway, one cook and 6 kind of helpers and stewards would follow him for the presidential yacht Potomac wherever he went. The head cook's name was Celedonia Ordona. So on the Quincy, coming back from Yalta, Roosevelt and his entourage was going through the Red Sea, and he had arranged a luncheon for the king of Saudi Arabia, Ibn Saud. So the king and 40 of his delegation came aboard the Quincy. Roosevelt had to serve lunch to them. So he went to Celedonia and said, "Okay, I want you to make lunch." Celedonia thought, well, he knew Arabs liked lamb, so he made curried lamb and rice. And they're sitting there on the deck, and they look at it, they're not sure, it looks funny to them, and they taste it, and they loved it. They asked for a second helping, and after that, Ibn Saud turned to Roosevelt and said, "I would like to have your cook." Well, in the Arab culture, you don't refuse a guest, especially with the king of Saudi Arabia. One of the stewards heard this, ran down to the mess, to the galley, and said, "Run, the king's taking you to Saudi Arabia." Celedonia ran into the hold, screaming, "No, no, no." But this is the brilliance of Roosevelt. He got Ibn Saud to accept a C-54 transport and one of his spare wheelchairs instead of Celedonia. So he got off the hook. But, that's Celedonia. This is where Arnold stayed. Not what our generals used to, but this is pretty good for a warship. George Marshall stayed where the Admiral was, just below us, opposite the captain's cabin. Down here are these guys. We had 6 admirals on board, 25 top Army officers. This would have been quite a prize if the Germans could sink it. I don't know, maybe in retrospect they shouldn't have had that much brass on board. Your entire Joint Chiefs and your top Army guys. Oh, okay. Well, let's go see what some of the other guys
Don,
do.
come in and join the party. It's a party in the CEC. Come in.
Well, I'm going to talk. I don't want to interrupt. Yeah, let's go this way. Look at the gator. Can you guess who stayed in there? Stateroom for who? The gator is the navigator. The painting is by Blair Denning. He was one of the ship's barbers, but he was very talented, and you'll find his artwork throughout the ship.
That's neat.
This is Harry Hopkins. We talked about him.
Right.
He was from the state of Iowa. He was a social worker. He is the architect of the New Deal, which was considered a communist program by many in our country at the time. But he's a good guy. He was actually ill. He died during the war, I think, of stomach cancer.
Oh, yeah. Gosh.
And this is the bosun. Ship's bosun. Stateroom. I guess. Was it? Oh, here. We'll have to poke around. There's some stuff I didn't even know.
Evening.
So, in World War II, this was the Admiral's conference room, and some of Roosevelt's meetings took place here. Also, when you go on your self-guided tour, look in the 03 flag bridge. Some of the meetings with the Joint Chiefs took there. Actually, some very important decisions made during World War II were done in that room, flag plot. I don't know. Let's go and take a look.
They need to shoot it multiple times.
There's certain areas they target
World War II.
hit it.
And you can see the portholes, that's all been covered up because you want to be protected. It's 2.5 inches of armor. So we're pretty, from electronic work, electromagnetic pulse, and also 40 millimeters, we're well protected.
So it just cruises like maybe 100 feet off the ground.
I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Lots of more. This is where you protect your ship from anti-ship missiles coming in. You can do 3 things. You can jam the missile, you can spoof it, you can think there's somewhere else, you can launch your chaff launchers, which is aluminum. The British called it window, 0.9 miles out, 1,300 feet high. So the missile will think that's the target. Missiles now, if it's a cruise missile, they're so smart, they will just circle around and try again if it didn't hit anything. If it's a supersonic missile, it just has too much matter. It's going to go out. It's just going to go out, through and out somewhere. This is new. Status boards throughout. There would be, these are electronic warfare technicians. Seaman first here, petty officer second here, and we have warrant officer here, chief warrant officer. That's their boss. I've lost. Oh well. One now. These are your launch consoles. Targeting, launch. The nuclear launch codes were kept in that safe on top of the filing cabinet. Also, the TAO, Tactical Action Officer's key, was there. It's a 2-key system. This is just for the nukes. And let's see. I've been working on this stuff. You've got enable, TAO, XO would do authorize. This activates the system. I believe that's execute on. That's going to launch it. 4 codes, theater mission, MPS verify. This is looking at 2,000 miles. Takes about 3 minutes to launch a Tomahawk. Over here are your harpoons. Takes about 2 minutes to launch a harpoon. These are called waypoints, the bins. You can put up to 8 waypoints. You do that with the joystick. I'm just going to show you with the light where it is. That's the joystick. You drag your track. You drop your track with this one. That's creating a waypoint up to 8. Then you get on the 1MC. This is the captain speaking. Clear the missile deck for harpoon launch. You give 2 minutes of siren. Let them get out of there. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of toasted marshmallows. You push this in, turn it, that launches. Still used. This is an excellent missile in the 80s, the Cold War. We still use them in the Navy now, although you can use our SM-6, which is what, Mach 3, something like that. Not a big warhead, but so much kinetic energy. They tried an SM-6 last year, I believe, and sank a warship with it.
Wow.
So I don't know, it can either, this is stealthy, it's a sea skimmer, or you just go brute speed. We've got options. Here, you've got two OSs, Operations Specialist. They work as a team. Oh, this is neat. This is up and running. We've got a lot of new stuff coming.
Yeah.
This is really neat. So when is the tour going to be up and running?
Well, we're still putting everything together.
It's getting there.
It's getting there, yeah.
Yeah, when Iowa got this was stripped bare because it was all useful. They put on other ships. Our radio room, that was called legacy equipment. It was considered obsolete, so the Navy left it. But turns out it works fine. Our radio gang got it up and working.
Awesome.
And they're here on Wednesdays, and they chat around the world. They're campers. Okay, so let's say the captain's sitting there. He leans over and he says, "Give me a course to take our ship to a position 2,000 yards, bearing 260 true from the target." These two guys give him the answer. Or you can use the Dead Reckoning Tracer as an after-action report. There's a light pin that comes up, and as Iowa moves, the light pin moves. It's tied into the gyro compass and the pedometer log, the pit log, so that we do that every minute with the compass rose and bearing. They would put a dot where Iowa is, and then they would just trace a line for the after-action report. 1930 technology. I thought it was long gone because in 2005, I believe, the Navy goes to ECTIS-N, Electronic Chart Display and Information System, Navy. But at Fleet Week, I talked to a guy. Said, no, my last ship had a dead reckoning tracer just like this. So we've got stuff that goes way back. The same thing here. I thought when you launched a chaff launcher that there would, in our modern Navy, something would automatically tell you did it. Yeah. And the guy said, no, I have a grease pencil here and I just go and I cross it out. Same thing that we did. Hasn't changed one bit.
That's cool.
Yeah, you never know. Thank you. Oh, this is my last. I used to have all kinds of things in here. This is the last one. They keep getting confiscated. We'll see how long this lasts. If you have any pull, when we bring school kids in here, they don't know what a missile is. So at least you can point, that's a missile.
Yeah.
And if I lose this, the kids are going to be lost here, the little ones.
Well, the officials didn't like it because it's too big. They
This
said.
one?
Yes.
Are you going to confiscate it? If you are, I'm going to take it with me.
No, I leave it here. But
okay, well, tell them.
There was a complaint about it.
Tell them we use this for school kids, and tell them, okay, you tell us how to explain what a missile is to a little guy.
Absolutely, yeah. I agree.
Now, this is our newest display over here. This runs just a continuous loop until you push the launch button, and then it's got a 4-minute video that shows the CEC here on the Iowa launching a cruise missile.
Are they doing that on the Escape from the Mothball tour thing?
No, this is just brand new. We only got this set up 2 weeks ago.
See.
But
wow.
Which one of you wants to push the button? Who wants to launch a missile?
You can do it, James. Sure.
So what button do I push?
That one.
Okay.
Learn something new.
What do you have on talk about 5 degrees off the port bow? Yes, sir. It's Skunk India, bearing 255, 21,000. Course 075, 13.
Once again, the ship feels herself pursuing a course at sea, steered by the guiding hands of men who carry on with the skills and dedication of those who fought her to victory in other days. This time they have weapons and sensors undreamed of in the past. In Iowa's darkened combat engagement center, Technicians watch over displays of tactical data covering an entire ocean. They pinpoint targets and direct the ship's multiple cruise missile launch capability.
Have an update on the Kinda? Very well. So check issue? Check issue looks consistent. Engage the control officer, we have an update on the Kinda. Bearing 300 range, 140 nautical miles. Very well. Send the information to Tomahawk weapon system. Tech action officer, we have an update on the Kinda class. Bearing 300 range, 140 nautical miles. I'm sending the information to your Tomahawk weapon system for updated database. Understand. 300, 140 nautical miles. Have you finished updating the Tomahawk plan? Yes, sir. Using plan 4. Very well. PAO, we've finished updating the plan on the Kinda class. I have a 9% TAC. Plan 4, recommend using 3 Tomahawks in accordance with the ship's doctrine.
So this is the Iowa CEC right here. This is this room.
The ship can launch attacks with up to 32 Tomahawk cruise missiles.
Execute launch sequence.
That's $1 million flying out. In the 80s, 1.8 million now, probably. Iowa, it's my understanding, we only fired one in all the 80s, and that was just for quals. You can't keep popping those out. Might have been it. Yeah, the Tomahawks were always manned, the harpoons weren't. And from former, as long as you don't hit the button, I guess you're fine. But yeah, 15 probably, so you go to general quarters and it'd probably go up to 22, that's what I was told by former crew. Is that about what you would expect?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it would be. Yeah, it was kept cool too for the equipment. Be a nice, pleasant place to be in the Persian Gulf. They did a good job. Amazing.
Pretty cool.
Yep. And if they still have these, I'd like them back because I'll just carry them with me.
Oh.
I think I've lost about 5 of them. Wow. In this room, I just, one of the guys said, I didn't like them. Where did you put them? I put them in the drawer, and I looked in the drawer. I couldn't find them.
Oh.
But if I can get them back, that'd be great. Yeah, this is weird because we have tour guides, and we have our own pictures, like you saw, for their presentation. We do design, engineer, all kinds of things, and then we've got Linda. Doesn't like them at all.
Yeah.
So we have to hide them. Otherwise, she confiscates them.
Oh, boy.
And sometimes my hiding place isn't good enough. I had one in Anchor Windlass, and she found it. It was 2 guys on a crow's foot engaging the clutch. Gone. Very irritating.
Oh my goodness.
he was the first captain. After the Mariana campaign, he was promoted to Rear Admiral, sent up to kind of a northern fleet. Let me show you some things here. Now, so you start your self-confidence. I told you earlier, Roosevelt was confined to a wheelchair. So they put elevator where ours is, but it went one level higher. They locked Bell 51 down so it wouldn't crush it. They would wheel him around here. There was a second elevator right at this red line. And the idea was to take him to the armored conning tower on 03, like a bank vault. You're going to see it on your tour. That's a safe house. He never needed to use it though. That was his favorite place to be late afternoon before cocktail hour. You had 6 admirals up there you could chit-chat with. He loved chit-chatting with officers and sailors. As a matter of fact, every now and then a sailor would pop out a door to smoke a cigarette. They'll hear, "How's it going, sailor?" Roosevelt. He would read his detective novels. There, he was in the sun on this side, so he was a pretty happy captain. This is my favorite. What was his name? The 24-year-old. Oh, I should remember. Anyway, Roosevelt ordered his valet, Albert Prettyman, to take him into the radar shack, flag radar. So he did. Myron Nelson, that's his name. He's a 24-year-old radio operator. He's at his scope. He sees Iowa and the 3 escorts around. And here comes Roosevelt, pulled up next to him. "How does that work, son?" And you met the president right next to you chit-chatting. That's a story for the grandkids. I'll give you one more story and then I'll let you go. On the second day out, Kelsey landed. They wanted to entertain Roosevelt, so on the port side, the weather boat is down. 6 miles out, 25 degrees off the starboard bow, was the William B. Porter over Willie D. That was a green crew, so the captain ordered a torpedo exercise. We need a target, I would think. It was close. So the captain ordered torpedoes pointed Iowa. Fire 1, check. Fire 2, check. Fire 3, switch. Live fire. The XO on the bridge saw the launch, turned to the captain. "Captain, would you order a torpedo launch?" All hell broke loose. They ran to the flashing light operator. He panicked. They ran to the radio operator. They ran up to the line line, turn hard right. This is an emergency. Torpedo in the water. So Iowa was starting to turn to port, but then it was countermanded. It goes right into the torpedo. Put yourself a little target. Roosevelt wants to see it. Harry Hopkins said, "Don't you want to be in the book?" Oh, no, he wants to see it. So it comes about here. Security pull their guns. They're going to shoot the thing if they see it. When it's sailing by, exploded in Iowa's wake. So we radio what happened. They radio back. We did it. Instead of the short. But during this time, Captain McCrae ordered all guns trained on the Willie D. They didn't know, maybe it was an assassination attempt or something. Anyway, they decided it was just an accident, and Willie D was allowed to stay in formation for the next 2 days. But, think about it. That would have been a mission kill. It wouldn't hurt Iowa. It wouldn't sink us, but it would be a mission kill. You've got 6 admirals, entire Joint Chief, the President, 25 top Army officers. That would have been embarrassing.
Yeah, well, we got it. Okay, let's see if.
All right, so let's go around here.
And scavenger hunt for the kids. You could play too, but I don't know. I don't want you cheating off her. So,
All right, thank you. I very much appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate the
Thank you,
information.
man.
and
Appreciate it.
the insight. Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Here was the food.
All right, food.